All right. Hey, happy October. I am meteorologist Ben Peine. It is Ben at 10. Thanks for joining me on my page, Meteorologist Ben Peine, Extol Weather on Facebook, Extol Media on YouTube, extolmag.com/weather on the World Wide Web. So all different platforms where you can catch the live show. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for being part of the weather family. If you're on this early, you're probably one or two people, Orlean, or you're maybe Lillian Lasley or Beverly Hagist. But it takes sometimes a few more moments for some folks to roll on board. So in the meantime, thanks for joining us. And if you're watching this early, you might be watching that replay. So thanks for watching, whether it's this afternoon. So it is October 1st. A lot of people love October. A lot of people I know have just birthdays in October. And of course, it's getting it more into the heart of the fall season. And this sunny weather pattern that we've had is going to continue to roll on. Speaking of the sunny weather pattern, there you can see all of that blue sky that we have across the area. Just some high wispy cirrus clouds way off into the distance. But we are going to see, again, more sunshine today all the way through the rest of this week. I think it's going to be next week. We're going to start to see some bigger weather pattern changes. And we might be talking about some 30s with the GFS weather model. Whether that will happen or not, we're going to go on a limb, been on a limb, and take a look at that potential coming up here in just a little bit. Also, at the bottom of your screen here, you can see it is Wednesdays with Weddington. Always like to have a fun chat every couple weeks or so with Mr. Brad Weddington of Weddington Custom Homes. So we'll be chatting it up with Brad here in just a second. So if you have any questions, anything around the home, landscaping, basement, roof, walls, plumbing, flooring, sinks, bathrooms, whatever it might be, let's put Brad to the test, to the challenge. Drop it in the comments, and we'll chat live with Brad here in just a second. Christian Walker with a good morning with 64 degrees there up in Carmel, Indiana. We've got Beverly Hagis in Morton, Indiana. I've never even heard of Morton, Indiana. Where is Morton, Indiana? We've got Orlean Whitlow. Good morning. It's finally October, and it is my month. Have a great day. Yeah, there are a lot of folks that love October. A lot of people love autumn, and of course, October is probably the best autumn month, I would say, for a lot of folks. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you're dropping in the comments, let us know where you're watching from. Love to see the representation from around the area. Let's get a look at another look outside live with the Falls of the Ohio Foundation.org camera. So some folks taking a nice, cool morning stroll there along the fossil beds there along the Falls of the Ohio. And the same sky we're looking at pretty much everywhere, sunshine and just lovely conditions all throughout the region. And you can see here with the radar and satellite, there is not much going on. If you notice, this is the visible satellite, so the sun has to rise in the sky for you to see the clouds, but you can see maybe just some high wispy cirrus clouds, those very thin clouds. Oh, Beverly's saying that's supposed to be Borden, Indiana. Yes, of course, Borden, Indiana. As we expand our view, a little strip of some showers over the Great Plains. The dueling hurricanes moving to the east. That's Umberto and Imelda. But we have full force October sunshine all throughout our region. And we're going to keep it for the rest of this week as well. Again, next week looks interesting. Finally, I'll have something to talk about for next week here coming up. So let's bring up some of the weather headlines here for today. It's going to be sunny the rest of this week. We got a rain chance early next week. We'll look at that with the longer range GFS weather model. Then we got a cool down coming maybe late next week or the following week. The European now is a little behind the GFS. Either way, mid-October chill spell perhaps on the way. So here is a look at that play ball forecast. That's my son Brady there in the background playing some tennis. He is playing his sectionals out of Floyd Central, #1 singles here at 5 p.m. today, and he's going to have a tough one. He is going to have a tough one out there. Probably some of the best talent in the region there at Floyd Central. Either way, it's going to be nice out there. 78 at noon, and we're looking at 85 for the afternoon high, 77 at 8 p.m. That rain chance is 0, and a northeast wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Christian, we have no rain coming for the rest of this week. It'll be early next week. Before you see that next rain chance. And Barbara Haas out in Florida. We're all jealous of Barbara getting that fall vacation. No need to do the rain. We'll do my rain dance in Florida. There we go. And again, Christian, no rain chance anytime soon there for you. So, but we will talk about a rain chance as we go into next week here coming up in just a little bit. Let me go back to the webcam here and again, we're just taking a few live looks outside. We'll look at some of the current conditions as well before we bring Mr. Brad Weddington up to the stage and talk about, again, all things around the home. Here is a look at our live stream up at extolmag.com/weather. There you can find all of our 7-day forecast that I just posted today. Again, a lot of weather resources here at your fingertips. You got your live radar, which, of course, there's nothing on the radar right now, but you can also plot some other stuff like the local temperatures. So we're looking at temps in the 60s here this morning. Of course, like clockwork, we'll be heading into the 70s here very soon, and then 80s into the afternoon. So again, a lot of tools and stuff you can play with right there. I want to give a shout out to our partners. First one, Weddington Custom Homes, WeddingtonCustomHomes.com. So we're going to talk to Brad here in just a second. Lions Roof, speaking of custom homes, they could put a roof on your custom home or your commercial building, or maybe you just need a roof repair. You can find more information with a free estimate here. LionsRoofingCo.com. There's free estimates there online. You can give them a shout either side of the river throughout the Louisville metro area, 812-294-3595. Might have to work hand in hand with your insurance company, which I've done with my insurance guy right here, Michael Long. Been with him for about a decade or so. He's told me they just had some auto renewal reductions in price. So you may want to get a quote and tell him that I sent you. 812-578-3072. You can go to amfam.com and search Michael Long and find his page there as well. Libs Paving, the top asphalt paving contractor around. They've got some opportunities still. You can just go to their careers section. Of course, they've got a ton of information at libspaving.com. You can also apply for any of their available opportunities there online. Also, ivytech.edu. Yesterday was their Tuesdays at the Tech. You can go to locations, though, here at ivytech.edu. Click on Sellersburg. Right off of Highway 311 there in 65 is their nice little campus nestled in Sellersburg. You can learn more about their dozens of 2-year certification programs. Their big October event is coming up later in October is their Trunk or Treat. So we'll be talking with them a little bit later this month about that. But they've got their fall sessions. You can get registered. You can register for their Tuesdays at the Tech for next week, where you get in-person assistance getting started at Ivy Tech, registering for classes, career development, paying for college, and much more. And you can just head to their landing page here as well and learn all about what's happening through the rest of fall. And again, you can click on the Ivy Experience and learn a whole lot more there. So again, big shout out to our partners for allowing us to do what we do right here on the Big Ben at 10 show here. So we've got Erica Risotto listening from Charlestown, heading to Arizona tomorrow. Wow, trip to the desert. Have a safe and fun trip out there. And we got Christian saying, I'm heading to Traverse City, Lake Michigan next Friday, October the 10th through the 14th for fall break. That'll be a nice trip up there. Beautiful blue waters of Lake Michigan. Up there in northern Michigan. Was there last year. It was a fun time for sure. All right, let's bring back up a look at our detailed forecast. I want to remind you, too, that you can always at any time reach out to me if you want to be part of our program here, Extol Weather, Extol Media. It could be your advertising marketing partner, Ben at extolmag.com or Jason at extolmag.com. Just on my content alone, meteorologist Ben Peine, have reached 1.4 million people over the last 28 days. So if we can be your Southern Indiana megaphone and beyond, we would love to help you out there. So again, sunny the rest of this week, rain chance early next week. As always as well, we've got your weather jokes, your weather history, all that fun stuff as well. Also, we'll look at the interesting changes by mid-October. October almost always gives us a good chill at some point. So we'll see when that might happen. It might be a mid-October surprise for us. Again, that play ball forecast, 85 degrees today, just like yesterday. So if you weren't with us yesterday, I was talking about when we typically get our first frost. That this blue and kind of purple colors just indicate mid to late October is typically when we first get that. Sometimes some low-lying areas and some outlying spots in the countryside can get it a little bit earlier. This shows the average date of the first fall freeze for Louisville, but the surrounding area as well is typically late October, early November, and then we can get rid of all that ragweed and fun stuff like that. By the way, cheers with the big happy. I hope you guys are maybe enjoying that coffee on the back deck or maybe just chilling at work, wherever you're watching from. Also, October features a lot of daylight loss. Our sunset today, 7:25. Sunset by the end of October, 6:44. That means we lose an hour and 11 minutes of daylight, not just from the sun sets, but the later sun rises. So 33 days as well. So just after October, November 2nd is our time change. We fall back an hour, get that extra hour of sleep, but it is a 5:42 p.m. sunset by that time. Our countdown continues, 18 days away from average highs in the 60s. And that kind of correlates to this mid-October surprise that we might get with the weather pattern change we've been talking about. Time change, again, 32 days. Average first flurries getting closer, 45 days on average. Thanksgiving in 57 days. A lot of weather history today. Big day for the National Weather Service. Back in 1890 is when the Weather Service was first identified as a civilian agency in Congress. Has a local connection, though, at the request of President Benjamin Harrison, of course, Indiana's president, passed an act transferring the Signal Service's meteorological responsibilities to the newly created U.S. Weather Bureau and the Department of Agriculture. Back in 1890, we appreciate their services. I've got a good connection with the folks out there at our local National Weather Service. 1903, according to the World Meteorological Organization's World Weather and Climate Extremes Archive, no rain fell from October 1903 to 1918. That's 14 years of no rain in Chile, in Arica, Chile, the world's longest dry spell ever recorded. 1938, in Arkansas, set an all-time record high temperature for the month of October, 105 degrees. 1945, while investigating a Category 1 typhoon over South China Sea, a Hurricane Hunter aircraft was lost. One of the few instances when a hurricane or typhoon plane was lost during the flight into a storm. 1976, Hurricane Liza brought heavy rains and winds to Mexico, causing a dam to break and river flooding in the town of La Paz, killing 435 people. In 1977, locally in central Indiana, 6 inches fell near Crawfordsville, crops damaged at an estimated $5 million in damage. All right, the stupid weather jokes. I made these up, guys, so they are extra stupid. And there was actually recently Northern Lights, and I follow a guy. I'll try to share that with you sometime. That is a Northern Lights Aurora storm chaser. So here they go. What do you call a not interesting Northern Lights? Aurora Boring Alice. It's so bad. What do you call a fun Northern Lights? A roaring good time. Why did the Northern Lights seem like a lion? It was a roaring. Okay, you can tell. I'm going to give those 5, maybe 6 out of 10 because we don't do the Northern Lights very much. Feel free to judge amongst yourself or in the comments. All right, UV index today is a 6. And we've got moderate levels on the allergy report here over the next several days as ragweed and grass pollen continues. Again, at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see scrolling there. If you have any questions for Brad Weddington, custom home builder, about anything around the house, drop them in the comments. And I just saw him sneeze in the background there. So we just had the allergy report. 85 degrees for our forecast summary today for our Wednesday, October the 1st. Sunny and warm, low humidity, northeast wind around 5 to 10. Low tonight, 59 degrees. Clear and cool with a light east breeze out there. So we get the cool nights, the warm afternoons. Tomorrow we do it all over again. Thursday, October 2nd, 85 degrees. And we start off cool, kind of mild midday, and then 85 for that afternoon high, which is closing in on about 10 degrees above normal for this time of the year, as 76 is our average high. So the 7-day forecast is very quiet here for us. We're looking at some 80s rolling along for the rest of this week. Early next week, a front should start to move in. That should give us a chance for some showers by that time, especially Tuesday into Wednesday. And that might open the door to some bigger changes later next week and the following week as well. So some changes again as we head into next week. Again, here is WeddingtonCustomHomes.com, the home of Brad Weddington, our local custom home builder. And we are going to bring him up to the stage right now. So there he is in the flesh over in Henryville, Indiana. Well, good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Ben. I gave you another nice sunny day.
Dude, I was going to say that. Once again, every morning we've ever had Brad on the show, it's been a nice morning. Of course, this summer was more humid, but back in the day, the first half of this year, we had a wet stretch, as you know.
Yes.
But every morning you were on, we had the good weather. So glad to have you back on here. So uh, do we want to, I want to thank you, by the way. A couple weeks ago, went out to the ARCA Series race out in Salem. It was a great time cheering on Will Kimmel and the Kimmel Racing team. So what would you say overall after that experience? I watched his kind of overview of it. Overall, he was happy. Of course, faced challenges as usual with racing. But what do you think being a part of that team?
I don't know. I think we did really well. I mean, we finished the race, which that's a feather in the cap right there. We didn't have any mechanical breakdowns. Um, that's something you worry about in every race. So we were able to make it to the end, all 200 laps, finish on the lead lap, and wrap it up in sixth place. And I think they fielded 25 plus cars. So that was a
No,
solid turnout. We were happy with it.
very, very nice. Do you know what's coming up next for the team? Is it just regrouping the
Probably
rest of the year? Or?
they're probably done for the year as far as ARCA cars go. I think they run some smaller series, and then we'll be back at it come Daytona of next. Hopefully Daytona will hit in February. If not Daytona, will definitely be Charlotte in May.
Okay, very cool. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on from racing, let me bring this up here. I got to remove this and bring this up. I'm directing some traffic here. So I wanted to talk about some landscaping trends because I saw this at one of your local builds out in the Henryville area. And just talk about what some folks are doing a little bit differently than they did before. One thing I've noticed, because I had to help out with this project right here. This is my mom's sidewalk, by the way. And you'll notice rocks instead of just regular old mulch. So, mulch isn't fun to lug around and spread out every year. But rocks are even heavier. So I was like sore after lugging these bags of rocks off a pallet all over my mom's front porch area. But she actually spread them out.
You did that with bags?
Bags, buddy.
Dude, that's tough.
And pallet.
we do the rock, but we always, we get it in bulk.
Yeah. And I mean, she kind of had it in bulk. They delivered it to her driveway, and then I just dragged. Well, Brady helped me a little bit, but either way, I got a little bit sore from that. And then she spread it out, put some preen down, and I guess the goal is it keeps the weeds out. You don't have to replace with the mulch every year. So again, I'm just kind of leading you on here with what I've seen myself. But what have you seen here lately?
I've seen the same trend. You're seeing people kind of pull away from mulch. I always talk about production homes versus custom homes and the differences, pros, cons. A lot of your production homes, you're going to see them use just bulk hardwood mulch. A lot of times they'll go with a black coloring or something like that. That's going to fade in about a season, and you're going to end up having to replace that on an annual basis. And a lot of people that I deal with, they're just tired of doing it. They're tired of replacing it. Even on my own personal home, I used what's called super grade A cypress mulch on mine, which will last a couple years because you can actually flip it and get that coloration back. But after doing it for 8 years and messing with it, this spring we actually said, heck with it. We pulled all the mulch out, laid down the fabric, and ended up going with a stone. And I used the preen too. I sprinkled the preen in, which is a pre-emergent. But the amount of weeds I have now versus when I had the mulch is phenomenally lower. It's a lot easier to maintain. And something people don't realize is even if you put that fabric down and you put mulch on there, weeds, the roots aren't very deep. They'll germinate in that mulch, and you're still going to have to pull them out of the mulch. But you always talk about pros and cons. but you always
let us know in the comments. Are you pro mulch or are you pro rocks? Have you gone to the rocks, or are you going to the rocks, or is there something else? Like, you don't have to do those big black rocks. I'm sure there's different types.
Well, something else you can do, and my neighbor actually did it right across the way here. When we built their house, they used pine needles. Pine needles is something you see a lot more in the South, but it's a really unique look. So, and they're retired, so they don't mind messing in the landscaping. But a lot of the people that I build for are busy professionals. They kind of have to be to build the home. And when we meet with the landscaper to design the layout, the first thing out of the homeowner's mouth 9 times out of 10 is, I want something that looks good in the summer, looks good in the winter, and is low maintenance. I mean,
Yeah, once
that.
I mean, that's what we all want. But,
Yeah.
But back to the pine straw, that's what we had when I lived in Augusta, Georgia. That's what pretty much everybody had. And what was awesome about that, especially in the summer when it heats up, it's got a nice aroma to it, to
Oh yeah.
the pine straw. So I guess yeah, that is something different here locally that's becoming popular too. So yeah, I guess you got the mulch, you got the rocks, and you got the pine straw option as well. I'll just check and see if we had any comments on this one. Erica out of Charlestown saying we have the mulch, but would like to change to the rocks next year. So, and then Vicky, oh, we got a fourth option, rubber mulch. Oh, there we go.
That's kind of a one time and done type thing too with the rubber mulch.
Right.
Something to think about though on any kind of landscape bed. You know, if you do have mulch, when it comes time and you say, hey, I want to switch over to rock, to pull out that mulch is not a hard task. If you want to go from rock to something else to pull out that rock,
Oh yeah.
it's a task.
Well, you just throw them in the neighbor's yard. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, it would be a chore because it's a chore getting it in there. So yeah, I guess. Thank you, Vicky, because now we got four options: mulch, rock, rubber mulch. What was the other
Pine
one?
straw.
Pine straw. Boom. There we had it.
There
Four different options there. So, is there any other trends? I've heard, just kind of doing a little bit of research. Drought resistant native plants, maybe doing more landscaping than having to do mowing. I mean, everybody's different. You're a custom home builder. You're dealing with the future homeowners. Are these the conversations that you have? I know you're building the home, but are you also building the yard as well?
Oh yeah, that's part of it. We do the landscaping when we're building the home, and just like with home building, you have some homeowners that really hone in on one aspect of the build. That's very very important to them. With some people, that's the landscaping. With others, they could take it or leave it. They just want it to look nice.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is really cool, because when it comes to plants, I am kind of ignorant to it. To be honest, it's not something that I've dove into a whole lot. But I will say that more and more my homeowners are wanting to use plants that are native to Indiana, which I think that's really cool.
I do too. Yeah, and it can really help. I mean, obviously, we're getting native plants, less watering, which is good for the environment and all that good stuff as well. So let me get one more comment that popped in here. We had Carol Payne. Good morning, Ben. I've got regular mulch, but it needs to be replaced every year. And I've been doing it about every year. I didn't do as much this year. We were not quite on it as much this year, but not only did we have weeds, I've got like a poplar tree growing in our mulch, and I'm just kind of letting it go. I'm just going to see how big this dude will go.
Just let it go natural.
I mean, I got to take it out eventually, or it's going to take over the sidewalk. But all right, anything else landscaping wise, Brad?
No, but I will say, the people that are big on the mulch, and I've been that way, and I still, when it's freshly mulched and looks good, I mean, it's hard to beat that look, but it just doesn't last, and you're either out there replacing it every season or you're out there flipping it. Some people don't mind putting a lot of time into their landscaping. Others, for those that say, I really don't want to do a lot of maintenance, I'm going to say rock or your rubber mulch is going to be the way to go. For people that truly enjoy working in their landscape bed, regular mulch or pine mulch, that's going to work too. So it just depends on what you like.
Do you know much about cost if you're wanting to go from one to the other?
I know on the initial install, because we're not, on an existing home, they're going to be pulling out their landscaping and then replacing. So you got a lot more labor and stuff involved in that. On the initial install, I would say to go from mulch to rock is probably twice the price, but you got to look at that price in perspective. I would say the house that we just did took 6 tons of stone. The one that you did the episode on, actually, that one took 6 tons of stone, and I think that stone was $150 a ton. So $900 worth of rock, which it would have probably been about $350 worth of mulch.
And then you got to do that every year. So
yeah, and when you look at that price, yeah, it's a little more than double the price. But when you look at it from a dollar value on a $700,000-$900,000 home, it's not that big of a difference for something that's going to last for dang near forever versus something you're going to have to replace.
Yeah, All right, good information there. All right, and then I've got this to bring up right here. So from happy landscaping talk to something that could be frustrating not only for homeowners but also for home builders, I'm
Yeah, oh,
sure.
yeah.
These are the drywall screw pops. Let us know if you've seen a screw pop in your home. So this is when the drywall screw kind of loosens up because of differential heating in the house or whatever it might be. Just happens naturally anyway. The screw kind of loosens up and then pops through the paint. So we have some of these, as most homes do. Ours isn't a new home anymore. It's 11 years old. But what's the method here? First off, if you're getting a decent amount, do I get a professional crew or do I YouTube it myself? What do you think the best method is here?
And that's something that's actually pretty easy to fix.
Yeah.
That you could YouTube it, and because you're not dealing with plumbing, you're not dealing with electric, you're not dealing with heating and air. It's 100% aesthetic. So it's something that you could tackle yourself. Now, where we see a lot of that is high traffic areas. So stairwells, hallways,
Mm-hmm.
places where people will potentially bump into the wall. That's where you see the majority of that. Because
Oh yeah.
when they hang that drywall board and they run that screw and they pull it tight, but we've talked about lumber before, and we've talked about the
Mm-hmm.
growth rings and the fact that lumber is, even though it's a dead tree, it's still going to absorb moisture and release moisture. So as that lumber draws up a little bit, sometimes it will cause a pop like that. And
Yeah.
there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just the nature of the beast. But when you're going to fix things like that, so you've got a screw right there where it's popped out on the top of it. So that means that screw's really not holding a lot at that point. So you really want to clean that old mud off the top of that screw, remove that screw, pop a
Uh-huh.
new one in right below it or right above it, and then fix both locations.
Ah.
Because at that point, that nail has pulled through the paper facing, or that screw has pulled through the paper facing of that drywall, and it's no longer really holding anything at that point.
Well,
So
that's
you
a
if
good
you if
point
you just
because
fix that, if
yeah.
you just fix that, as soon as somebody thinks about touching the wall, it's going to pop right back out again.
See, I was gonna ask you about that because I've heard in the past, screw it back in and fill it back over. So you're saying no, fill that one back in, screw one below it,
Yep.
and then put the whatever it's called over it. What is it called? The
Drywall
not plaster,
compound.
drywall compound. Yeah, thank you very
Yep.
much. Got my back there. All right, this is very good information there. So yeah, I'm sure some of you probably seen this in your house before. So there's the way to do it. There's the way to fix it up. So Brad, anything else on your mind that you want to talk about here around the house? You're a
No,
custom
just
home builder. We were talked about it before. Do you have openings for anybody that wants to build a custom home?
I've got one more availability for the spring, and then we've still got availability, or for spring of 26, and we still got availability for this time next year. Um,
Okay.
so we definitely have some slots available. Once again, they're going to be a little bit further out. And when I tell people that, I say, we can't really start you till, let's just say, spring. That doesn't mean I can't look at the plans, walk the property, price the house out, get everything ready on the front end. It's just we're not going to break ground until then. Um,
And it takes time. I mean,
there's a lot of time on the front end that people, once you say, hey, I'm going to build a house, you got quite a while before we actually start. I mean, you got to get the plans, you got to get the septic permits, you got to get the building permits, you got to get the financing. So there's a lot of steps on the front end. Um, I've dealt with. It's funny. Like, I met with somebody last week, and I looked back at our original meet date, and it was 2 years ago,
oh wow.
and we still haven't started the house. So I mean, it's definitely a long process. It can be as long as that. It can be as short as just a couple months before it starts. It just depends on how your ducks are in a row.
Everybody's different. Everybody's finances are different. So everybody's property is different. Plans are different. So that's why it's called custom home building. All right. I'll leave the last word to you, Brad. Anything else?
October is a busy birthday month. My daughter's best friend's birthday, Allie. It's today. My daughter's is later this month, and I've about had enough of the humidity, Ben. So I'm going out to Wyoming next week.
You always end with a weather request. Happy birthday to your daughter, by the way, her friend, and my wife, October 25th. And one of my best friend Chad's wife is around then too. October is a weird big birthday month. So, all right,
Well,
I see a horse behind you.
oh yeah, that's the neighbor's horses. She
All
she
right,
keeps getting more and more horses. And I told my wife, I was like, we're just gonna fence in our backyard so that they can just come right on over.
that would be cool.
It would.
And then they'll eat your yard for you.
Right. It's the best kind of horse to have. You don't have to pay for it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. All right, buddy. We'll see you next time. Always fun chatting.
Sounds good. See you, Ben.
All right, see you, man. That is Mr. Brad Weddington. As always, there you can see at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions maybe for next week, drop them in the comments. We're going to get to, we'll take Brad off the stage there, and we're going to get back to the forecast here in just a second as well, and look at the long-range forecast, which I think a lot of you will be interested in because we've maybe a mid-October surprise is kind of what I'm calling it. And I know we've had a lot of questions coming in and some comments. So let me get to those because this is your show, by the way. We've got all the way back here to Lillian Lasley. Good morning. 72 at my house. I'll pop on the 7-day forecast so we have something to look at where we look at the comments as well. Christian saying 85 days until Christmas as we've been doing the countdown. Amy Jo Moore popping in from New Albany, Indiana, right where in our backyard here at the outside of the Extol Media Studios. Christian Walker with the countdown continuing with 92 days until New Year's. Dennis Gregory, good morning from Bedford, Indiana. Vicki had a comment earlier about the mulch, and thankfully you're getting us loud and clear now. Tammy Morton, Tammy and Vicki, hello to you guys. And we've got a what's up from Aaron Wolf, I believe, out there in Orange County. And Lillian likes all the jokes. I appreciate that. I came up with those all by myself today. So there you can see the 7-day forecast here, guys. We'll bring up the weather models here in just a second. Here at 10:31 on the Ben at 10 show on this Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, October the 1st, celebrating the beginning of October. A lot of folks' favorite month of the year. 80s and low humidity, warm afternoons, cool nights roll on through this weekend. A cold front should move in next Tuesday, Wednesday, and give us a chance for some showers. I think then after that, late next week, maybe into the following week, mid-October timeframe, we're talking about that chance of a more significant cool spell. And yes, I've been talking about maybe some 30s trying to pop up. Typically, we get that first frost around mid-late October, so that would be right on time anyway, but that would be kind of a shock. We've got Sarah Whitehead Bolt popping in the comments. Good morning to you. Thanks for watching here. Christian, good luck for the fire department there in Carmel, Indiana. All right, it is time. We're going to bring up the weather models here. And first off, I'm going to remove that, bring that. There's your very quiet radar and satellites. There is, if you want to do the analysis, the anal, we can bring this up and do a quick drawing. So up here, I think Quebec, Canada, you got a high pressure. We've got a northeast flow coming out of that. If you remember, high pressure is sinking air, but it also is the air around high pressure is going in a clockwise fashion. It is the opposite for low pressure. These hurricanes down here, it is counterclockwise or cyclonic. So high pressure would be anti-cyclonic. So high pressure is also clearing out our sky. And it's just kind of a stuck weather pattern that we are in right now. And I don't think it's going to be a surprise to you that, since we're quiet for the rest of this week, we're going to have to go right into the long-range outlook. So that means it is time for Ben on a limb. So we're going to go ahead and go right to the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10-day outlook. Cheers, by the way, for you guys just popping in. Big happies in the house. And again, this is not going to be a big surprise. That here from the, let me get rid of the drawing there. Let's move that out. This map is having an issue filling in, but it shows here with the 6 to 10-day outlook. Or if I go to precipitation, Precipitation is going to be drier than normal, of course, over the next 6 to 10 days as well. But let me get back to the temperature outlook. So this shows our region under a higher chance of above normal temperatures here, 6 to 10 days out. Now, I think this will be adjusted in time, the 8 to 14 day outlook. Right now, it is still above normal, but I think once we get past mid-October, we might start to be looking at below normal temperatures. But our average highs now are in the mid-70s, so this does not mean hot. It just means above normal, kind of warmish, kind of like we've had here lately. So let's bring up the GFS weather model and look at, I want to go ahead and we'll look at rain first, then we'll look at should we look at temperatures first? Temperatures might be more interesting. All right, let's just say we get rain. We get rain early next week. So we'll look at that second. Because the GFS was very interesting. A little ways out here. A little ways out. Let's go to behind the cold front, like next Wednesday, the 8th of October. So we're looking a little ways out here. So it's not chilly by any means, but look at that cool air up here. I want to kind of set the stage here for you. This cool air is starting to win the battle mid-October, okay? You're starting to see the warm air that we've had down south. And then in between, let me get rid of that drawing there. Let's zoom a little bit closer. So again, this is next Wednesday. It's showing 70s and probably some rain around the area, keeping it a little bit cooler too. So this is kind of the first stage, cold front number 1, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Not a huge change with that necessarily. I'm going now into the 9th, which would be next Thursday. And it's showing a system developing, which would maybe try to wrap in some cooler air behind it. So it shows some 60s, 70s. Look at the 50s. That blue is 40s and 50s for high temperatures, okay? Now, when we get a little bit deeper out, a little farther out in October, that's the October surprise, I think, is what we're going to be waiting on here. So I'm going to go to the 10th, which would be, what would be this Friday? It would be the following Friday. So ahead of a low pressure system, you're going to get a warm up. So there might, ooh, look at that. So let's kind of play this one out. All right. So we're going from, here's the big cold front, guys. All right. It is easy to see. This is on the morning of the 11th. So that is not this Saturday, following Saturday. Now, I just want to keep in mind, this is one weather model. The Euro is kind of like this, but a little bit later, like maybe the following early next week. But it shows the cold air is starting to win. And this is the big weather headline for, again, mid-October. The cold air winning. This is a strong fall front right here. So it would probably bring some beneficial rain ahead of it before it moved on through. And now let's move to the afternoon of the 11th. Actually, I want this to move all the way through. So this is not this Sunday, following Sunday, right? Look at that cold air dropping in from Canada. Will this happen? We will wait and see. But take a look at these temperatures. Woo, brr. Look at that right there. If that happened with light winds, that would be enough for our first frost. How about that? You cold weather lovers, it is showing this on the GFS weather model. The first time we've seen 30s popping into the weather models here for October the 12th. Again, this is the Ben on a Limb segment. We'll see if this actually happens. But I will say the Euro weather model was not quite this cold. It had 40s. And it also had this delayed a little bit farther out. But there you go. Kind of a little bit of a weather headline here for you. Down in the 30s. Coldest we probably have seen since April. I would have to look back and see. but I'm sure we probably had some mornings in the 30s back in April. And this would be, and typically April's our last frost, and then you've got October, our first frost. So this, we might be kind of right on time if this were to happen. If this kind of cold air dropped in, mid to late October is typically when we get the first frost across the area. The first freeze is defined once you get down to around 28 degrees, hard freeze. That typically happens late October, early November. So as Christian says here, exactly, wow. Brr. Yeah. So, that's why I say, a lot of people are, even my daughter today, I was on the FaceTime with her. She's walking around IU's campus in Bloomington, is that she was like, when is this warm weather going to stop? It's too warm in the afternoon. Well, are we going to be wishing for this warm air to return once we get some cold mornings like that? We're always going to complain about something. That's what's the beauty of living in the Midwest, having 4 seasons and seasons within seasons, is that we get to complain all the time about our changing weather across the area. So boom, there you go. That would be the mid-October surprise right there. Now let's talk about high temperatures, shall we? Because that was the low temperature on the 12th. That would be not this Sunday, next Sunday. So this will be the high temperature map for Sunday. And sometimes this overdoes it as far as how cold it's going to be in reality, but it shows highs in the 50s and 40s over the Ohio Valley. Again, will this happen? We will see. We'll just lock it in the back of our heads. We'll check back as we get closer, and we'll look at this day by day and see if this continues to be the same. We get that consistency, and then we start to, have a little more confidence in that forecast. Orleans saying this is a little bit too cold. My parents always said the 15th of October was always a frost. That's my birthday. There you go. Boom. That was some good folklore right there. And right probably most of the time. Lillian saying it can stay in the 60s and 70s, my kind of weather. So there we go. That might be the flip. That might be the flip of the script right there as we head toward the middle, even maybe just a little bit sooner than the middle of October. We'll see about that. All right, let me go to erase that. And we're going to need some rainfall eventually. So let's go ahead and bring up the reflectivity. This is what you're used to seeing as rainfall. And I'm going to go to Sunday the 5th, which is going to be dry across our area. So we're dry through this weekend. But notice that rain off to the south. We start to get a southerly fetch of a breeze. That's going to bring up the humidity levels early next week. So now I'm going here into Monday. I've only got like a 20% chance of a shower Monday. But it looks like that front will start to move closer to us on Tuesday. That brings up our rain chance. As you can see here, this is Tuesday, the 7th of October next week. And then into Tuesday night, Wednesday, it looks like this front will be moving through the area. There you can see this is early morning Wednesday next week, so a week from now. And so we have this front moving through possibly next Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. It looks like the Euro and the GFS are on board with that moving through. So that would be a decent rain chance for us that we could use across the area. Again, getting too dry after this latest long dry spell here. Now I'm going into, this would be the 9th next Thursday. Now I'm going into next Friday, the 10th. That's that more significant front with that cold air behind it. So the initial front, first stage, Tuesday, Wednesday front, the larger cold front, possibly the bigger game changer, the October surprise. Maybe it'll be Friday next Saturday. GFS is a little ahead of the game. European weather model kind of early following week. We're going to fine tune that, of course, but there you can see decent rain chances early next week, late next week, maybe that cold spell beyond that. So that right there, my friends, has been the good old Ben on a Limb segment. It is a straight black coffee here this morning. All right. So what do you think? Are you looking forward to the chilly fall weather? We've got a question from Christian. I do not like the cold weather. I am not a cold weather person, but I am a warm weather person. Which weather do you like? Meteorologist Ben Peine. Warm or cold? I am a warm weather fan. July is my favorite, but fall is starting to creep up into my second favorite season. And Lillian saying, have a great day. Thank you, Lillian, for being here. Appreciate you always watching. And let me go ahead and bring this up here for us. We're going to do a forecast recap, and that'll move us towards the end of the Ben at 10 show here this morning. So sunny the rest of this week, rain chance early next week, as we saw with the GFS weather model, and then maybe that more significant cool down late next week into the following week. And it is a play ball forecast here, 85, just like the weather we've had all week long, low humidity, sunshine, light breeze. That's my son Brady there. He's got his sectionals today at Floyd Central. They have, as usual, have a very tough team, so he's got his work cut out for him. Vicky is a warm weather person. It is kind of funny since we're kind of on the border of north and south of the United States here, the Ohio Valley. I've asked this before year after year. It's about half and half love warm, half love the cooler weather season, and the snowfall typically just kind of works out that way in my experience. All right, so that is a quick look at a map of our typical first frost there, mid-October, and our first fall freeze is late October, early November. We lose an hour and 11 minutes of daylight in October. We start off with a 7:25 sunset, end with a 6:44 sunset, but right after that, November 2nd, is a 5:42 p.m. sunset. How many days until? Average highs in the 60s, only 18 days away. Time change in 32 days, average first flurries in 45 days, Thanksgiving in 57 days. Had all this weather history here for you. The big thing was 1890, the National Weather Service was created by Indiana's president, Benjamin Harrison, back in the day. And so you can find more about that. I'll post it on my Facebook page here just after noon today. Not going to go over all of them. So our stupid weather jokes today, written by me, at least most of these, are about the Northern Lights, because there were some Aurora Borealis recently. And I'll try to share a new follow that I have on Twitter. He's a Northern Lights storm chaser and educator. But these are kind of Northern Lights related. What do you call a not interesting Northern Lights? Aurora Boring Alice. What do you call a fun Northern Lights? A roaring good time. Why did the Northern Lights seem like a lion? It was a roaring. All right, there we go. There's the stupid Northern Lights jokes for today. Vicky's saying, I'd move south, but can't leave my kids and grandkids. Yes, the family has us stuck as usual. My ancestors decided to drop off in Indiana, and that's where we're at. Moderate levels with the allergy report with grass and weed pollen. Our forecast summary today, 85 degrees, sunny and warm with low humidity. Northeast winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour, sunset at 7:39. And our forecast low for tonight, 59 degrees, clear and cool. Have had the windows open here lately, listening to the critters outside. Your forecast tomorrow, the same, basically as today. Cool morning, mild midday, warm afternoon, 85 degrees. Thank you, Vicky. That's encouraging. We'll try to keep coming up with more. And if you have any weather jokes, send them my way. Ben at extolmag.com. All right, 7-day forecast, sunshine at 80s for the rest of this week, and then those rain chances starting to creep back in next Tuesday, Wednesday. We could see those more significant weather changes by late next week into the following week. As we saw, if you missed it, we were looking at the long-range weather model data. And if you ever want to contact me, there you go, Ben at extolmag.com, Jason at extolmag.com. We could be your advertising marketing solution for Southern Indiana and beyond. Just on my page alone, 1.4 million views. We've got a whole lot more on the Extol media platforms as well. I want to thank my buddy as well, Brad Weddington from Weddington Custom Homes was on just a little bit earlier. If you're coming on a little bit late, I had a fun talk about the new trends in landscaping and some other things around the home as well. You can always just head to WeddingtonCustomHomes.com for more information. On top of your home, you need a roof. You need a good lasting roof. So go to lionsroofingco.com. You get free estimates there. They got you covered on both sides of the river throughout the Louisville metro area. 812-294-3595. Friends with these guys, family owned, out of Memphis, Indiana. They can be trusted and will be fun to work with as well. And you might have to work hand in hand with your insurance company. They've also had auto renewal reductions in price recently here with American Family Insurance. amfam.com. Click on, or just search Michael Long. It'll take you to his page. Or you can just call him, tell him that I sent you, 812-578-3072. Again, pretty much all these partners, thankfully, are people that I have a relationship with, and again, that I trust here personally. Libs Paving, they've got opportunities still available there. Thankfully, they're getting a lot of work done across the area, getting those roads paved up and fixed up for us. But if you want to apply for a job, you know somebody that might want a job, they still have some opportunities there at libspaving.com. Speaking of jobs, you can level up your career, maybe get a new career, start a career, get that education. Dozens of 2-year opportunities here. And your high schooler, whether they're at Prosser or getting that dual credit at their high school, getting that free post-secondary education. We thank Ivy Tech for those partnerships in our community. Later this month, they've got their Trunk or Treat big event, and you can go here to their Sellersburg campus, just cruise down, and there you can see their calendar, and they've got fall sessions rolling along. You can register for the next fall session as well. So a lot of fun things happening there at Ivy Tech on their campus. They're building out there, spreading out at Highway 311 and I-65 there at Exit 9 miles north of Louisville. Another live look outside there at the brilliant sunshine throughout southern Indiana and beyond. It is another gorgeous day across the area. This is the Falls, the Ohio Foundation.org camera. And we also have a live look in our backyard here out of Extol Media Studios. The only thing that's in the sky is some very high cirrus clouds out there in the distance. But other than that, it is clear sailing throughout the region and will continue to be, again, for the rest of this week. Reminder, too, you can always get your weather resources here at extolmag.com/weather. There you can see my live stream is up right now. And you can see the current conditions, 3-day forecast, 7-day forecast, more weather resources down there. Tomorrow will be an update to the U.S. Drought Monitor that we'll check there, which is not going to get any better with this dry weather pattern. There's your full screen interactive radar where you got to back way out to find any rain. It's out just a little bit over there over the midsection of the United States. So thank you for watching wherever you're watching from. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for dropping in the comments. You can watch from my page, Meteorologist Ben Peine, Extol Weather on Facebook, Extol Media on YouTube, and extolmag.com/weather. So what's going to be interesting? The mid-October surprise, the cool down. Will we get it? We're going to look at it again day by day. We'll check it out again tomorrow for our Thursday edition of Ben at 10. We'll see you then.